turn of pace have made him sensational. Mint missed half a dozen matches and still retains the Hitman of the Year award. Gaz Ellis retiring is going to leave a massive hole for us, but hopefully the old faithful Mickey Peer will step up into his shoes. Our near neighbours hurled abuse and said, "Ale, Albert Kelly, be on your way." I question Radford's decision to sign him, but his contributions this year have been immense. Burrito is going to have some big shoes to fill, with fans' favourite Fanua leaving. But hopefully, with only a limited turnover of players, we can consolidate our position near the top of the league. If we can do this, we will hopefully each match have more than one try-time suite. Caroline, who sits near us, will be pleased with this. I think our young players coming through are starting to look good, and it means we are no longer having to worry too much about our experienced players retiring. It's early for predictions for next year, but based on the last couple of seasons, Cash should be favourites to win the Middle Eights. The Championship looks interesting, but I think the Lathers will return to Super League. We have enjoyed meeting strange men from the internet this year and hope to meet some more next season. Over to Joshua.
When James Shaw scored for us against Leeds in the semi-finals, I was confident we were going to win and get to Wembley. I like going back to Wembley. It was a long journey, but it was scary at the end. I was sad to lose to Leeds on my birthday and in the playoffs, but the night before I got to watch Castleford win on the Golden Point. I think our next play next year will be Mickey P and probably mine too. I will be happy with no more disciplinaries next year. I think we've had too many disciplinaries this year. This season was 4 out of 10 out of 5. I think we are building up to be the winners of the treble in the next few years, and we will win the grand final and Wembley next year. Bye.
Now then, lads, this is the Nadines Hull FC year review with Callie. Say hello, Callie.
Hello.
And Nicola.
Hello.
Right, we'll start beginning. Toronto Wolfpack versus Hull FC in the pre-season. First Toronto game I went to. Good game. Good to see the new players out. It was good run out, good win. And I see Toronto in the first game. You could tell straight away that they were going to be quite dominant in League One. Rest of the year, good start, I suppose, against Wakefield. They were a bit downhill. Kai, any good games you can think of?
I don't really know. I think
every game's a good game that Callie gets to go to.
Yeah.
Challenge Cup? Challenge Cup rounds?
Really good.
Bit easier this year than last year. Catalan's getting walloped. Beating Castleford. Sorry, Rob. Leeds. Sorry, Dom. And obviously Wigan. Sorry, Mark.
But we're not sorry because they played outstanding to get to where they got to, and to win it was just amazing. Back to back.
Yeah,
Can't ask for any more.
Some downsides, some bad points from this year, really. There's got to be some of the massive defeats we took. Salford being one of them. There was Leeds.
Saints.
And Saints at Magic Weekend. Magic Weekend was not to be spoken of again. It was all quite bad. What else is there? Apart from finishing in the top 4 again. Semi-finals of Grand Final. Which was another good point for us. Also me and Callie at Summer Bash, meeting up with all the lads. That was good. Also meeting Sarah.
Meeting everyone.
Big Rob and Dom in the Challenge Cup and at the Castleford games.
Slayton Rovers.
Slayton Rovers.
Meeting new Bradford Bull fans.
Yeah, she's a Bulls fan now as well. Obviously, looking forward to next year. Summer Bash again.
Definitely.
Another Challenge Cup. And hopefully a grand final. All being well. Anything else to add?
Just from me, timescales between the different competitions I think needs looking at, because when you get through in the Challenge Cup, it doesn't matter in Super League. We had back-to-back games and others had 2 weeks off before they had to play again. So their players got rested, but so be it. It's one of those things. It's something that needs looking at, I think, but we'll see what happens.
I think that's it. That's the Rugby League not doing
Yeah,
fixtures
well.
properly.
Yeah.
But that's it. One last thing.
Thanks, guys. It's been a brilliant year. You've been really good.
Yeah, I'll enjoy it again. Hit Flasker out, Guy. Tink tink. And for now, lads, see you later.
Okay, Rich, Sarah, Josh, Phil, Callie and Nikki, thank you very, very much indeed for getting in touch. Hull FC have been not remarkably well, but very well represented.
Yeah, because we've got a ton of other views
in the Super League pod this season, and good on them. Who else got in touch, Mark?
Well, Joshua's granddad got in touch. John said, disappointing to fall one step short, but who can object to back-to-back cup wins and top 4 finishes? AK Steel 69 said, we got half of what we wanted, but everything we needed. Susanna Lake said, just the best.
Well, yeah.
BP Loftus, Brendan said, still pinching myself about a second Wembley win. Again for them being in a row, then lots of emojis. Scott Schroeder said, I was happy winning the cup again, but feel the window is closing on our grand final chances. So he's got a different view to Joshua, who's optimistic about next year's grand final.
Oh, the optimism of youth.
Callum says, inconsistent, ultimately quite disappointing, but we made Wembley our bitch, so I would like to question the inclusion of the angelic Liam Watts on a particular award shortlist. My understanding of the situation is that he has never actually been near Red Hall, let alone banned. Well, Joshua will tell you just about the disciplinary conundrums I've faced your club, Callum. Karen says, 2 Challenge Cups, something many can only dream of, should have been in the grand final next season.
There you go.
Well, okay. Yeah.
So what do you think of Hull season then?
Well,
cast your eye over it.
As went with my prediction, they were one of the teams actually that I took the longest to settle on before the season, and after the season I still struggle to settle on them. I don't want to take anything away from that Challenge Cup win. They were the better team on the day, even if it was marginal in many ways. One score and a forward pass that cost us in the end, and that sort of stuff. But Hull are a team I've struggled to work out, simply. They did some great things. They won the cup final. They beat Castleford 3 times, once of them times with 12 men. They also lost home and away to Catalan, right? They lost at home to Salford, Huddersfield and Leigh, who all ended up as bottom half sides, you could say. And Leigh went down. Even though they scored more than 40 points 3 times, and conceded more than 40 points 4 times, so few big wins and big losses. Only St Helens were involved in more close games than Hull FC. 42% of the games ended up either level or within one converted try. So Jekyll and Hyde and a third thing in the middle. This is what I mean. I can't work them out. Another difficult aspect to work out of Hull's play was their attack. Right, only Castleford were better at making breaks in the league this year, but no top 8 side had fewer tries per game than Hull FC did, so they couldn't convert the breaks. Of course, Mark Sneed's boot made up for a lot of their points that they scored. He helped Hull by having the best goal kicking success of the league, nearly 90%. Only Cass kicked more goals in total, but only Wakefield had a higher proportion of their goals attempted as penalties compared to Hull FC. So basically, they took the 2s where they could, which was something that helped them in achieving the 6 close wins that they achieved to get them into that top 3. Hull used the fewest amount of players this year, 25. We did talk about the limited squad size, so it's good for them that they didn't get an injury curse. Masimbashi Matongo had the best win success with 67%, but he wasn't really that involved, 15 minutes or so in each one of those games, so I won't talk too much about him. But I want to talk really about the creative trio that they relied on. Albert Kelly was the top try scorer with 19. Sneyd and Jake Connor, they were top of assists for Hull FC with 18 each. Kelly and Connor were 2 of only 13 Super League players this season who managed double figures in both tries and assists. So that shows how good they were. Behind them, Fanua's taken a lot of credit in the backs, but Shaw did great stuff too with the ball. Top 10 of all players in tries, busts, breaks and metres. And he did that metres as well with an impressive 9.4 metres per carry. So Jamie Shaw really good with the ball, as we knew. Hull did, though, make more negative impact plays than any other side. We've covered that off by how many people they had in that team. The likes of Watts, Minicello, Kelly. They're the only side who had 2 individuals in the top 10 or bottom 10, I suppose you would say, for missed tackles, errors and penalties conceded. They were the only side that had at least 2 players in each of the top 10s for that. So some poor performance there, I suppose. So this is why I've struggled to work them out, but they still had great success.
Yeah, and they've ground out victories and found ways to win games, which I think is kind of the best way I can sum up Hull season. The flashes of brilliance and times when they looked almost unplayable, particularly when that pattern got rolling forward and with some of the explosive outside backs that they've got. Jamie Shaw had a fantastic season as well for them, so again another player that can chime in at the line and do something unexpected as well for Hull FC. Maybe I don't value the Challenge Cup in what I'm saying here, but I think Hull FC fans would trade that second Challenge Cup for an improvement in the league and in terms of getting to the grand final. I think it's tantamount to me, as good as it is to go out and win the Grand Old Trophy. I think it's tantamount to asking for an Xbox One for Christmas and getting an Xbox 360. I think, it's great and you can still do a lot with it, but I think lingering in the back of a lot of Hull FC fans' minds is the fact that it's another season where they were anticipating and hoping for a grand final and didn't get one. So my question, again, in much the same way as I questioned Castleford kicking on and going on to win it, is are Hull FC going to be in a position to kick on and realise that dream next season and make a marked improvement? And I think as long as those inconsistencies exist in this side, that's going to be something that they'll struggle to do.
Yeah, because they can raise themselves for the cup, clearly. They had, they beat big teams in both years. They've had big wins on the way to the final.
Yeah.
They've just not been consistent enough to get a top 2 place, which might have made a huge difference. They were lucky-ish. Both the 2 sides that made 3rd and 4th were lucky-ish to be in that position, because there was 4 sides chasing those places that were all very, very close come the end of the season, weren't there?
Yeah.
So it is about that consistency. They need to cut out some of the mistakes.
Yeah.
Then they can concentrate on the stuff that works well for them.
Exactly. Okay, that's Hull FC covered off. Then let's take time to look now at our champions, Mark, the Leeds Rhinos.
Yeah, and it's fair to say they outdid expectations. I had them finishing 6th, you had them finishing 5th. We both thought maybe quarter-finals of the Cup, but actually they reached the semi-finals of the Cup, and then better was to come, finishing 2nd in the top 8 and then being the grand final winners, of course, which I'm sure we're going to hear lots about from Bob Phillips, Soap Opera for Men, and then finishing it off with Rich Wilkinson. So some thorough reviews and a bit of banter thrown in the middle.
Let's take it away. Listen.
Hello, Mark, Tom, Super League Pod family. It's Bob Phillips here, part-time Leeds Rhinos fan. Well, my year in review is mainly, crikey, I did an awful lot apart from watch rugby this year. But what I did do related to rugby was mainly despair. I mean, it started bad, didn't it? Boxing Day, playing Wakefield Trinity. And the reason we play Wakefield Trinity every year is so that we can start the year on a high. And we went and lost 6 points to 30. Oh, God, especially after last year in the relegation battles. My feeling was that the best I could hope for was that we stayed out of the middle eights this year. If Wakefield was to beat us, what else were we looking for? And then it went on. We managed to beat League One teams. We just about scraped through against Championship teams. And then the season opened against a club called St Helens. And they beat us. Bugger. And then we went to Leigh. Now, as you know, I have the utmost respect for anybody that engages in extensive recycling and reuse, because I don't want to destroy the planet by using up things, and so Leigh should be one of my favourite teams. but it was nice to see them beaten roundly. Well, when I say roundly, I mean by scraking through 3 points clear. But anyway, it was nice to see them beaten and that we had come back slightly to some sort of form. We then followed up by destroying the